Welcome back. All right, now we're going to move on to Gravekeeper anti-meta. So this is our Gravekeeper anti-meta deck. Alessandro, the other the YGO guy that we have, is going to run his Gravekeeper anti-meta deck, which is somewhat like the beatdown strategy, but a lot more defensive and a lot more trap cards. He's running against our friend Nick. Who's playing a junk deck, and a lot of you are probably going to watch this and go, what the heck are you doing? Nick, you fool. You can do this, you can do that, you can do this and that and this and that. And you're probably going to be screaming at the screen if you get really intense into this. Mainly because, there is a reason for that. Nick is a Magic player. He's a really, really good Magic player and just recently got into Yu-Gi-Oh! So he has a really, really good deck. But he doesn't know how to run it all that well. And one card he never really used properly. He had a chance of using properly, and he never did. So, spoiler alert, again, Nick doesn't know what he's doing. Well, not completely. I mean, he does know. He's gotten a lot better, but he does take the time to read his cards now, but he doesn't completely understand a lot of his strategies. Like in Magic, if you go first, you don't actually draw on your first turn. So if you notice there, he forgot to draw. So yeah. Yay, Magic players trying to play Yu-Gi-Oh! I tried to teach another person how to play this, and he was just like confused. Like, wait, you summoned it, but there's no mana. How can you do that? You're attacking right after it's summoned? What about the summoning sickness? I don't get. And his brain exploded, and it was kind of messy, and it got on my cards, and I was kind of ticked off, and there you go. So Alessandro just played, of course, Necro Valley, which Nick smartly chained with Dust Tornado. So yeah, Upstart Goblin. I really don't like Upstart Goblin, mainly because it shrinks the deck, and it does make it to where you get what the stuff you need out sooner. But I don't know. It just seemed like a kind of a useless card. So he does Tornado his back card, which smart move on Nick's part. So Gravekeeper anti-meta. The Gravekeeper anti-meta runs, or at least the one that Alessandro runs, 3 Descendants, 3 Spies, 3 Recruiters, 3 Commandants, 1 Guard. I think he runs 1 Guard. That's about it as far as it goes. He doesn't run Chief. He doesn't run Visionary. He doesn't run Spear Soldier. I know that for a fact. Those are the main cards that he runs, and those are the main cards that he uses. He doesn't really need anything else other than that. A little later on, you're going to see that he also runs Gale the Whirlwind, who is another anti-meta card in that Gale the Whirlwind, Blackwing Gale the Whirlwind, is a very, very vicious card because it can cut an opponent's monster's attack and defense in half. And the thing about that is it's permanent. It can be a very, very devastating card if you end up using it properly. So, yeah, he's trashing. He's going for Necro Valley. He's going to play Necro Valley. Get Necro Valley out into the field. Other than Necro Valley, though, he also runs Gravekeeper Steel A. Another card that I don't run, that he does, Royal Tribute. Now, Royal Tribute is a very amazing card, and one of those cards that'll just make you scream, bull, that's not fair, because he can play it on the first turn, like on his first turn. The only requirement that Royal Tribute has is that you need to have Necro Valley on the field. And what it does is that when it's played, both players, wow, good call on Alessandro's part, both players send all monster cards in their hand to the graveyard. You'll see that happen later when Gravekeeper's anti-meta takes on Volcanics. But, oh my god, how freaking cheap is that? Oh, Marshmallow. Ha ha. I mean, literally, how cheap is that? That you end up having your first turn, you can play all the monsters that you want, and then you can play Royal Tribute to make your opponent get rid of all their monsters. And that can really, really, really hurt. Um, he played another Upstart Goblin. Why? God, the Upstart Goblins. I mean, if you want to run a deck, and this can be for any deck, that you want to have a certain number of cards, make it as tiny as possible, shrink it. Upstart Goblin uh, is a good one. Uh, let's see here. What else is good? Upstart Goblins are probably a good. Is I know I was ranting about it earlier, but Upstart Goblin I don't particularly like because I always feel that there's other key cards that or very helpful cards that you can use to put in that deck. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's a good card. Oh, bottom. That you see that was the mistake that I was talking about. He could have actually used Bottomless Trap Hole on Recruiter when he was summoned because Bottomless Trap Hole only affects monsters that are summoned with 1500 or more attack. Recruiter's attack naturally is not over 1500, but it's 1200. But with Necro Valley on the field, it becomes 1700, and that happens instantaneously, meaning that he could have activated Bottomless Trap Hole as soon as he hit the field because at that point in time it could affect Recruiter. He didn't think about it. Again, kind of experience versus inexperience. This is really not a good example of the anti-meta power because anti-meta, or at least this version, doesn't run a lot of spell cards. Other than Necro Valley, Mystical Space Typhoon, Royal Tribute, and Gravekeeper Stele. And that's another reason Royal Tribute is really, really a mean cards because you can activate it, discard all the monsters in your hand to the graveyard, and then use Gravekeeper Stele to put 2 of them back in your hand. It's a painful card to play against your opponent. It's one of those cards that will make your opponent absolutely hate you because you're being a complete and total cheesehead. I don't know. I'm trying not to cuss on this show, so no cussing for us. So yeah, right now we're looking at Spy versus a Spy and Descendant and 5 set spell and trap cards versus 1 tiny spell and trap card over there. Oh man, poor Nick. I feel kind of bad for him. Oh well. He attacks. That's coming up, by the way. Attacks with Spy. Attacks with Descendant. Then Help. And he's gonna send Spy to the graveyard to blow up his back card, which is Power Bomb. Oh, why? Why? Poor Nick. So those are the only spell cards that a Gravekeeper's anti-meta deck can run. A few other cards I recommend outside of Gravekeepers, like I said, Gale the Whirlwind, which is going to be, and Nick just lost. Gale the Whirlwind is a very, very good one. Thunder King Ryo is another one that I highly recommend if you can get your hands on one. He was released in Gold Series 3 again, so, and I think that's the cheapest version you can get is the Gold Series, so try to look for that. I'm lucky I have one. I run mine in my Betterment deck. Let's see. I really can't think of anything else. Effect Veiler. Yeah, you'll want to run Effect Veiler. This one may seem a little weird, but I do also recommend Cyber Dragon. Just in case you happen to go head-to-head against a player who is... Just in case you are in a tournament, people are going to side deck. And more than likely, they're probably going to side deck Shadow Imprisoning Mirror, which stops all monster cards or monster cards that are dark monsters, or Consecrated Light, which is like any dark monster's worst nightmare. So Cyber Dragon and Thunder King Ryo are good cards to use against those two things because you're running Gravekeeper. People may not expect it.